Great. Let's
Good
try that
stuff.
again.
Of
First of all, thank you for coming on the podcast. Hopefully this time it
course.
works.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to create a platform for small creators to talk to each other because there's so many small creators out there. I just wanted to give everyone a voice, give myself a voice, and if it goes somewhere, great. But if it doesn't go anywhere, then at least I've had some fun conversations. So if you want to introduce yourself, tell me a bit about yourself, your background, how long you've been in the scene, and where you see yourself going.
So yeah, my name is Leo Ains. I'm a 17-year-old YouTuber from well, it's not in London, but it's near London, so I'll just say in the
So it's
area.
London.
Yeah. So I've been in the scene making videos. Well, I had a TikTok account like for a year and a half. I got that to like 30,000 followers.
Oh wow.
I was doing quite well, but then I got banned because TikTok didn't understand the difference between boxing and yeah, all of
Oh,
that stuff. It
yeah,
was
the
that
lovely
was
algorithm.
yeah, literally that. So that kind of I was a bit lost. I didn't really know like where to do, but then I've always liked to make videos. I've always liked to make content, and obviously like YouTube boxing, like it's entertaining. It's
Yeah.
popping off at the moment. So um I've just made videos about that, and I like to consider like well, I didn't say it, but someone commented on one of my videos and said I they consider me one of the historians of YouTube
Oh,
boxing.
that's a good
Yeah,
compliment.
I know because although I see a lot of people like covering recent news, and I want to kind of strive away from that and kind of recap on the YouTube boxing side, not only like the boxing aspects and like how well these guys can fight, but how well these events have been put on. Because as much as it's a sport, it's like it is a big business
Yeah,
as well, and I find that part of it intrigues me, and yeah, I just love making content on that side. So yeah, that's pretty
that's
much
brilliant.
it.
Did you have a boxing background prior to YouTube boxing, or was YouTube boxing what got you into the sport?
I've always enjoyed boxing. What's it called? Like my brother used to do boxing here and there. I've
Okay.
never, not as much. And it never really intrigued me because of the entertainment aspects. Like I've always watched WWE. Like when I was younger, I was big fan of that.
Yeah.
Of more of MMA as well. Just I don't know. I just feel like boxing it was a bit of a dying sport. The entertainment wasn't there with that factor. So I mean, the YouTube boxing stuff, I love boxing heads probably
Yeah.
would get angry, but I thought in a way, uh, it revived a certain aspect of boxing that has been gone for like quite a few years. So
Yeah. I absolutely agree. I started watching boxing a little bit before the conception of YouTube boxing. My brother got me into it when Tyson Fury was having his comeback. So that's what got me into it, watching Tyson
yeah,
Fury build up and then all the Wilder fights. So that's what got me into it. But I remember watching the first YouTube boxing event. Well, not the Joe Weller Theo Baker one, the Joe Weller and KSI. That's what when I saw that I was absolutely hooked.
yes,
I've been doing content creation for a few years myself. I was doing gaming content, and I found it. I feel like even though I've only been doing it for a month, I feel like I found a home in YouTube boxing. The community so much better. It's so much less toxic, and it's yeah, I really enjoy it. Um, yeah, I think I don't know. It's just a passion of mine, and I'm hoping to take it places.
definitely.
Um, so the main topic. KSI versus Faze Temper. What's your
Oh
thoughts?
well, the thing is, it is disappointing, but I always had an instinct that Dylan was going to pull out. I
Yeah,
like it was just the fact that it was Dylan Dennis for me. Like
yeah,
as soon as that exact moment where it was the Misfits free press conference, he walks on
mm,
the stage, and I just thought, all right, either he just turned up or they're fighting. I thought if he's turned up, he's just looking for attention. But if he's fighting, all it's going to end in is a pullout and a worse opponent. Which, to be fair, I got that part wrong because with Temper, I think the fight's on par fighting wise, but I think
yeah,
entertainment and for the event doing well, I feel just like Dylan Dennis, it was, even though a lot of people don't like him, including myself, it was a big name. It brought a lot of the UFC MMA guys
yeah,
to want to watch it. But yeah, I still think Face Temper. I feel he is a worthy guy. I feel like his performance against Slim wasn't great, but
yeah,
but it's like styles do make fights, and that's a lot of things that people don't understand. People think, oh, because he got knocked out by Slim round two, then it's gonna be a terrible fight. But it's like JJ's style compared to Slim's is different. So
Yeah.
we don't know how that's gonna compare with Faze Temper's style. So I'm excited. In all fairness, it was disappointing, but it was a blessing and a curse, really.
Yeah, I agree. It's disappointing, but I think I and many other people saw it coming, and especially when he went on Ariel's show and he said, "Oh, I've got no coach." I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
that's a massive red flag." And then the rehydration clause when he went on Chael Southern show, I I saw the writing on the wall. If I'm honest, I didn't expect the Faze Temper fight as much as it makes sense. They're the same weight, the whole mystery opponent, which I'm sure we'll get onto later. It makes sense. I was expecting the Joe Fournier fight, but again, I was expecting it. I wasn't looking forward to it because I've done my research on him, but he's not a name as much as he holds the 9-0 record. That's not the fight I wanted to see. I would have wanted to see the Dylan fight. He's been talking so much, and originally I think Logan was supposed to shut him up. So the fact that JJ was going to step up and shut him up, even then, Dylan, I didn't expect was going to pose any threat after watching, his training footage, and I'm not a professional boxer in any sense, but I can tell when someone, you need to know that at least the fundamentals, that's what gets you through your 1-2s. That's what, that's a prerequisite for any fight, and that just was missing. So would you say that you expected to pull out with him to pull out? What do you think when at the beginning?
I thought at the beginning it was 50%.
Yeah.
And it just throughout the build up, it was just gradually increasing every time. There was he said nothing that made me feel like, oh, this fight's definitely going to happen. So the thing is, I knew it was going to happen. It wasn't a matter of if he does, it was just a matter of when for me. So
yeah, there was no reassurance on Dylan's side. There's too many negatives to no positives. So a lot of people have been saying, should Temper have been the replacement? There was names, Slim said that should have been him. You got Anthony Taylor, who's always talking.
Always.
He was saying it should have been him. Who do you think, if Faze Temper wasn't the guy, who do you think should have been the replacement?
It is a sticky one, because the thing is, personally, I believe that for one, it shouldn't have been any of the guys on the card originally, because for one, I think that's to pull them out of their fight against their opponent and put them with JJ. Just because it's JJ, I don't think that would have been fair, because realistically, it's like if it was Slim was already training to fight Tom Zanetti, and it would have been unfair on Tom Zanetti ultimately, because obviously he's training for Slim. He's if it's just that way. I just feel like that ultimately cancelled out who should have been on the card. I feel like I said this in a video, but I just think with Misfits, I feel like what they're trying to do is they're just trying to we've gathered now from all the pullouts, none of the backup opponents have been better than the original opponent. So I instantly knew that it's not going to be someone massive. It's not going to be someone who's skilled at boxing. Honestly, I wasn't too sure. I thought there was a possibility it would be King Kenny, because I saw King Kenny speaking a lot. But honestly, I was unsure. I obviously thought Fournier was going to be, because I think Mams Taylor said it was.
Yeah, he did.
A couple of weeks ago. But then I thought that's unfair on the opponent that's supposed to be fighting Fournier, because at the end of the day, you can't just a week before, because you can't just cancel their fight because one of the other fights is cancelled. You rather help build than take one to get one, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I have to say, after Wasabi pulled out, I thought there's no way they're going to let that happen again. I thought they're going to have, 2-3 people lined up for the backup fight.
Yeah.
And then, when Mams did his post on Misfits, he was like, oh, we'll release it. And I was like, okay, you have Joe Fournier there. Who else do you have in your back pocket? And then they said Faze Temper. And I thought, I still think it's going to be a good fight. I think it's going to be an interesting fight. But I feel like there should have been more options. There should have been. I'm not saying bring in Tyron Woodley, because that's a whole other mess. But I'm saying at least have someone, as you said, that wasn't on the card. King Kenny. I don't know, someone, even if it is a lesser person. I don't leave someone like Austin McBroom. If I'm putting him in, could have been an interesting fight. I'm not saying Temper isn't, but I'm saying that's now changed the landscape of the card. Now they're still saying there's now going to be another mystery opponent against the mystery opponent, and no one knows who
Yes.
that's going to be. So I don't know if you know much about any insider knowledge on this mystery opponent. You know, there was recently the Undertaker's being thrown around there, and I
Yeah.
do not know if that's just a massive meme or if they're being dead ass serious there. Well,
Yeah.
what's your opinion on that?
So I think I've been thinking because there's a guy called Prob Sandu. He does the No Limits podcast.
Yeah,
He was talking on Twitter about how he was randomly sent this document by someone with no Twitter followers, and he along the lines of that, this person leaked to him that Faze Temper would be the backup for KSI like
right,
hours before it got announced,
right.
and he said on that same file it said mystery opponent versus to be announced.
Yeah,
So I think we like obviously we don't know if that's true or not, but if you put that in mind, so I think obviously there's going to be a mystery opponent who I think is going to be something along the lines of WWE because Fox the G he I saw him reply to someone who was asking who the mystery opponent was, and I think Fox somehow knew because he's working with the event. He said
yeah.
think along the lines of WWE. So I think it could have been something like that, and I think to replace that whole narrative with the mystery opponent, they're bringing in someone to replace Faze Temper. So
Yeah,
honestly,
I mean
it's,
the whole mystery opponent, idea that's pulled straight from the WWE, isn't it?
yeah,
So it would make sense having someone from the WWE fill that mystery opponent slot. What I feel like they want to avoid is it becoming too much like the WWE, too scripted, because you already
mm,
have, the judges making some
yeah,
calls that you think, okay, is that scripted or not? You don't want to have that reputation of, oh, it's a bit, it's not 100% scripted, but this person might be told to take a fall. This person, the
yeah,
judges might mark it a 10-9 instead of a 10-8. You know what I mean? Like it's just you never
mm,
know. So for me, as not a huge WWE fan, that I don't want Misfits to ruin the reputation they've done so well to build over the past 9-10 months. But
100%.
I like the idea of the mystery opponent. I thought that was so clever because, especially, in my predictions, I was expecting someone who essentially wasn't good at promotion. So I was expecting someone like Alex Wasabi because he did zero promotion. Besides that interview which he walked out of, he did zero promotion, and Temper's known to be a little bit stale when it comes to promotion. So
If you
it
put
would
it
make
that way, yeah.
sense. Yeah, it would make sense having two people that don't do a lot of promotion to not know about each other, because that way you build hype for a fight. I had so many people saying, "Oh, it's going to be Pineda," and I think he's a one and done. I don't want to see Pineda come back. I don't want to see that. Um, but yeah, I think mystery opponents have a spot in the sport. I said at the time that Tempo was brave to take it, and I think that's why he was awarded the fight for KSI, because he showed he's not scared. He's happy. He is the any time when he plays only one fighter. He took it
Definitely.
as much as it wasn't a difficult fight. He took the overt flow fight on a few weeks' notice, and you could tell that because of the weight he came in on, and he did well. Admit the overt flow, mid to low
Mm.
tier boxer,
Yeah,
but still, he could have come in and Overflow could have improved since his fight with Sensei. So, yeah, I don't think Canadian necessarily deserves a spot in the sport, but someone who I hold my hands to say I'm completely wrong, Swarms, who I thought, no, don't after KSI fight, he had this fight with Christian Hamby. He pulled out saying, "Oh, I'm not ready." I thought,
yeah,
are you ever going to be ready? And then
yeah,
seeing him now, I'm like, hmm, he
yeah.
he looks he looks in okay shape.
He's impressed me a lot. I can't lie. It's the thing is, I like I put some photos on my Twitter. I think, in all fairness, I think some of the photos it's just the angles that do him justice.
Yeah,
But I do, but you can see that he obviously wants to I see, like I just think he's one of those people who is a hard worker. We saw
yeah,
the weight he lost. We saw the fact that he even made the walk against KSI. He even walked out like no nerves. Well, there was probably nerves, but he didn't show any
yeah.
he didn't like he didn't get as much happy feet as you think he would get like
Mm.
in the beginning of the fight as well. Like he had zero boxing experience at all, probably no fighting experience. but then he handled the whole situation better than Luis Pineda, who apparently like was nervous before even making the walk.
Yeah, yeah, I
So
heard that.
I mean, that's the thing is that's what's like impressed me with Storms the most. I just think he's a dedicated guy. He's one of those people that works hard at whatever he wants to do. Like he was a footballer before the whole rapping thing as well. So
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, Storms is to say he was a footballer. I think he was semi-pro or pro, then to move on to be a decently well-renowned in the UK rapper, then transition to boxing. I think he's proven if he puts his mind to it,
mm,
he's gonna put his all into it. And we have to wait and see what the results of that is. Ryan Taylor, as we've seen in the fight with Slim, he's a tough motherfucker, man. Like
yeah,
he's not gonna take one hit and fall down and not come back up. So I thought, Storms isn't gonna make out the first round, but the madman might surprise us, and
you never know.
he might come to the second round and then get knocked out. But
Yeah.
yeah, I just found when he released that video, it's the angles,
Mm.
sometimes you look better some days than others. And I'm a bigger guy, I'm a heavier guy, and some days you come on and you think, oh yeah, I look good, and other days you think, oh, probably shouldn't have had the extra slice of pizza last night. But it's just one of the things. But Storms, I think he's looking good. I'm looking forward to that fight. Is there any other fight on the card that specifically think, oh yeah, that could be fight of the night?
Yeah, Anthony Taylor versus Idris Virgo. That's exciting me a lot. I
Yeah,
feel like obviously I've seen Idris's fights, and we've all seen Anthony's
yeah,
not just fight, but the way that he presents himself. And I just think it's good. I don't think like I was looking and like they're having exchanges on Twitter, and not a lot of people are liking and retweeting, and like I just like it excites me. I just feel like the proper promotion for this event is going to start on fight week.
yeah,
Like as
absolutely.
that first press conference, I feel like most of these guys I feel like with YouTube boxing we've seen, because of the fact that most of these guys are influencers, their like their Twitter feed gets likes, retweets, but
Mm,
this is one of those fights where they're two guys from the fight scene primarily. I
yeah.
know Idris was on Love Island, but he's transitioned into being a boxer, so we're not seeing as much like we're not seeing this a fan favorite on social media. But as soon as we get to fight week, they start exchanging, and I feel that's when the hype's going to proper build up for that fight.
Yeah, I agree. Again, when you have two quote unquote proper fighters go into the ring, it's gonna be fireworks. And I have a video that I've edited and I was just literally sat waiting for me to upload. And that is, to me, I always thought the Idris Virgo fight was one sided. I thought, oh, Virgo's gonna absolutely walk all over him. But when I put a bit of research into it, Idris hasn't fought since December 21.
Mm.
His car his he was on he was on undercard of, I think it was like a lightweight title, something like that, but it wasn't a big event. This is
Yeah.
his biggest event he's going to be walking into. Now, I think Anthony Taylor, he's been on a Misfits card, he's been on a Floyd card. He has such a massive ego. Nerves just aren't a thing,
Mm.
because in his head, he thinks he is the one. He's God's gift to Earth, which is annoying sometimes, but you got to respect it. He talks the talk.
Definitely,
You
100%.
fake it till you make it. Whereas I don't know Idris is his first fight in ages on the biggest platform. Is he going to come out with a bit of jitters? Is he going to come out and with the lights and all the crowd and all the build up? He knows that if he loses this, he this might be his reputation as a professional boxer
Mm.
over. So
Exactly.
on paper, Virgo has the better record. He's been the boxer, whereas Anthony's was an MMA fighter. But I think I wouldn't say 50-50. I still tip a little bit towards Virgo, but I think it's going to be a close fight. That's a starting fight, isn't it? That's
Mm.
the opener.
I think so. Yeah, no, it's definitely going to start with bang. And the thing is, I this is just me like with my prediction. I think Idris is going to win for the reason that like people are forgetting that London Shoot Fighters, where obviously JJ and Idris
Yeah,
train at,
yeah,
it's primarily an MMA gym.
yeah.
And I was just doing a bit of research. I was looking. There was a picture of KSI sparring this person, and then I went onto the person's Instagram, and they were an MMA fighter. Like
Mm,
primarily, all their promo was for their MMA fights. So I get the idea that if these guys are in the gym sparring MMA fighters, then Idris is going to have the advantage, because let's not forget Anthony was primarily an MMA fighter,
yeah,
and if Idris, who's training boxing, is already learning about the bad habits that MMA fighters transition from MMA into the boxing ring, then he'll be able to figure Anthony out quite quickly. But you never know with that fight. That's one of those ones where it's like you think you know, but anything could happen realistically.
Yeah, I completely agree. And the thing is, I don't know where Anthony trains. Does he have an official place that he trains? Does he have an official coach? Because I swear I see him coming in with different people. I've never seen him with a team. I could be wrong here, but I've never really seen him like say, "Oh, I'm fighting out of X gym." You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I saw. So there was the gym where for the I'm probably disrespecting this guy just by saying this, but the guy where all the TikTokers trained
Yeah,
at for the social goals. And I've seen Anthony walk out with him for one event. I know I think he's doing a bit of work at Jackrabbit
yeah,
boxing
with
where
Dean.
with Dean
Yeah.
and like Minicon and the one and only Chase Demore. So,
Oh God.
so I mean, like I just think he's one of those guys that gets around, and that might be good for him because he's like obviously he's new to the world of boxing, and if he is learning different stuff from different gyms, then it could help him. But then it could do the exact opposite and just really just like help him because he's learning things to an extent, and then he leaves them, learn
Yeah,
someone else's way, and then. But you never know with Anthony. Really, he's just a bundle of joy. Really,
yeah. So it's so amazing how many fighters we have, and there's cards coming up. I think we're assuming that, I assume you're assuming that KSI beats Temper, right?
yes, but not easily.
Yeah, okay. Who's next? Is it a slim fight? Does he go for Fournier? Does he go for Woodley, or does he go for someone else? What's next?
I I think logically, looking at the way that things are happening, like he fought Swarms and Pineda, and I thought from there that he would go up a big step with a Tyron Woodley, but we've seen he went to Dennis and
Mm,
after Temper. So I'm getting the impression that he's taking small steps.
yeah,
So not saying that like Slim is a small step, but I think it will most likely be Slim next, just depending on Slim's performance here. But if it was me saying, all right, what's going to get him most ready for this Jake Paul fight, I would say maybe Tyron Woodley or Tommy Fury. But
yeah,
I just saw Wade the Wade Constant tweeted that apparently Jake offered Tommy 2.5 million to fight him,
yeah.
and he's still not accepting. So I doubt that he'll
I
accept to fight
I don't
KSI
see
Mission.
I don't see Tommy fighting anyone from this scene in ever, if not in a long time. If there's a potential fight with maybe Tommy and Idris down the line, but I don't see Tommy taking any of these main event fights. I agree. I think it will be Slim, providing Slim beats Zanetti and KSI doesn't lose. Providing that goes
Hopefully.
there, I think Slim is the next one. But it just depends how many times KSI is planning to fight before Jake. If
Mm.
it's this fight and one more, is Slim gonna get him ready? Or if it's this fight, Slim in, I don't know, April, someone else in October for a December, January with Jake. If he goes against Slim and if he wins, which I think that's a very tough fight because
It is.
I think KSI is a great fighter. I think Slim's a good fighter, maybe not as technical, but he's so awkward.
Yeah.
He could win. I think Slim
I
I
think
think
I
that would be a very even
mm,
fight. If not, Slim has a slight advantage.
definitely. No, yeah, no, I agree with you completely. I just think Slim's like I was like I had like this impression in my mind that Slim was amazing, but looking back at the Temper fight, is what you just said is true. He's like he's not a good boxer. He's just sluggish. He's technical and I well not well untechnical. He's like,
Yeah,
but I feel like with KSI like he hasn't fought someone who can really match him slug wise and
yeah,
like go into a proper slugfest because you can call KSI versus Logan Paul 2 a slugfest, but I consider a slugfest when both fighters are just going at it, like
yeah,
Ryan Taylor versus Slim, and
yeah,
so I think that would be the definition of a slugfest, and
yeah,
I'm all for it. I'm excited, but
yeah,
I think
definitely.
for in on the for the road to Jake Paul, I don't think that is a good fight to make because one, it's like it's high risk, not high risk, not high reward.
Yeah,
So it's like it's a sticky one, but I do think that will be the next fight. Yeah.
yeah, and I think I never rated Slim until I watched him his fights. I never rated him until he took down Temper. But again, more recently, where I've been thinking about it more and trying to do bit more theory crafting, I have been thinking like Slim isn't technical. If the way he throws some shots, you think that's not the way traditional boxers would throw it. But if it creates different angles, if it creates different views, and the main thing is if your opponent doesn't see it coming, and as long as you don't get tagged at the same time, then if that's your unorthodox way of fighting, then why not go for it? If it's working for him, he's yet to. If he loses, then go back to square one and think, okay, what do I need to improve? But if this unorthodox style is working for him, then keep going. And I think that would be a really difficult fight for KSI. But providing that happens, providing KSI wins, and providing he doesn't go straight to Jake, who is that? Who is that last step? Who is that last person that after KSI fights and hopefully beats, he says, right, I'm ready? Who is that last fight for him?
Oh, this like the thing is this like I've got a couple guys I'm thinking of. Like I would like for that. I know I said that I'd like to see him fight Tyron next, but I feel like Tyron, for the fact that he's probably grown so much as a boxer, I feel like people won't be happy, but it will be a very, very important and be a very like good fight learning wise. But like I can't lie to you. A Nissan Gibb. I know people will go crazy because they'll be like, he's an influencer. He's not a boxer. Jake beat him quite easily. He went the distance with Taylor Holder, but I don't know. There's just something about it. I feel like Gibb just gives me the same kind of vibes as Jake Paul in the sense that he learns boxing in the same manner as Jake. He takes things on. He's very dedicated, and I just feel with he's been learning boxing. That just makes sense for me personally. But I don't think a lot of people will agree, but I would like to see it.
It's not what I would have picked, but I see your point. Like he has the same forward pressure that Jake has.
That's it.
And the thing is, for me, when Gibb fought McBroom, first of all, excellent fight. That for me was one of, if not the best fight last year.
One of my biggest regrets not staying up to watch it. I can't lie. I fell asleep.
I ruined my sleep schedule doing it, but so worth it. The thing going into that fight, my heart wanted Gibb to win. I wanted Gibb to win so bad, but my mind thought if McBroom won, that would lead up to KSI versus McBroom, which would have been fantastic.
Yeah, definitely.
That would have been brilliant. And as much as I'm so happy that Gibb won, the better man won, but the KSI McBroom build up and then that fight would have been not as big as Jake Paul, but it would have been damn near close. That would have been such a good fight. And I think McBroom is such a, I don't necessarily like him as a person. I think he's so naturally gifted as a boxer. He said he might not fight again. I hope he does.
Yeah,
as long as he's not scamming people, I hope he does.
I mean, you can't make any promises on that one, but
no. But okay, right, the big one, the finale, the end game, KSI versus Jake Paul. How do you see that going?
I feel like I've had everyone say this. Like, I feel like as of right now, I think Jake just like he just edges it, and I think just boxing wise, he just will be able to pick JJ apart. But I don't know. It's just like the whole underdog narrative for KSI. I don't know. It's one of those things. It's such a big question. It's so because they're so early on in their careers and they're like learning things at different paces. But like one thing that someone takes ages to learn, like for JJ, I feel that would be like cutting off the ring.
Yeah.
Jake may have learned fairly quickly, and that's why showing that. But it could be the other way around for JJ. He could be learning something like I think his shot selection. He has quite good shot selection.
Yeah.
Whereas with Jake Paul, that I feel like that's something that we haven't seen as him learn as quick as JJ. So it's so hard to tell. And this is the whole thing with YouTube boxing. Like you can make any prediction, but these guys are so early on in their careers, and I feel like when you're training to become a boxer, at this point in your career, like as a child, I feel like as soon as you pick something up, like it's just you. It's just like when you breathe, you don't try to breathe. It just happens. I feel like
Yeah.
with boxing, as once you get that, it just happens like that. So I feel like for both men, there's stuff that they have to work on, but whoever's just going to keep that composure and just keep learning the sport, that's just who I think is going to win.
Yeah, I'm a massive KSI fan. I think if they fought today, Jake would win. If they fought today, Jake would win. For me, it just depends on what levels JJ goes up in the next few months is the big decider. Jake has
Yeah,
such a big advantage on experience and opponents. For me, KSI needs to do the right things over the next few months. I think KSI could win it. I think he could. He has that dog that everyone mentions. He has that. I feel like he has more willpower. Because for KSI, I feel like if he loses, that's him done. He thinks, I'm finished. That's he doesn't lose, and this is his loss. Whereas I think if
definitely.
Jake loses, I think he's still got a career there. I think he's still because he's this big villain that everyone hates. People still want to punch him. Whereas I
Yeah,
don't. I think if KSI loses, I think that's it. So I think
definitely.
if KSI goes out, he wants it more. I think he could win, but based on what I've seen, I'm leaning Jake,
Mm.
unfortunately, and it hurts me. It hurts me to
Yeah,
say
no, I
that,
understand.
but
But I was thinking, and there's been something in the last 12 hours that has kind of given me a lot of hope, and that's the fact that Jake Paul has just literally he like earlier today he announced that he's gonna in the next year he plans to have an MMA fight.
yeah,
I
yeah,
think I think that if I was JJ, I'd see that and I'd be very happy because in that time where Jake decides, all right, I'm gonna take some time off boxing, learn to kick, learn to grapple, like learn BJJ. I think in that time, KSI can if he trains, if he uses that time that Jake Paul's spending to train in other martial arts,
hmm,
I feel that could really help JJ in the long run. Because
yeah,
realistically, it's like we've seen MMA is different to boxing, and and for obviously stamina wise for like staying fit, that's not going to change anything for Jake Paul. But boxing wise and the experience gap, that is going to shorten the gap a lot for KSI.
yeah,
So that for a KSI fan like me and yourself, that I think that is good news.
yeah. I think because he said he can do. He's hoping to have a two-fight deal with Nate Diaz with 6 months in between. So
Mm.
if we assume they do boxing first, that's going to be a 6 to 10 week camp, and then a 6 month gap before the MMA fight because they'll want to do it back to back. That's
Yeah,
that's 9 months, give or take.
yeah,
That's enough time for KSI to get another at least 2 fights in. So if he
definitely.
can beat Temper, step up level, and step up level again, he could meet Jake Paul at a point where he's just been in an MMA fight. He might lost some of the fundamentals. He might, have picked up some bad habits that might end up being, a bad thing for Jake. That might send him down a route that means he's less likely to win. But
Definitely.
it's all speculation. We don't know. He could go and be the next, I don't know, Conor McGregor in MMA and then come back and
Honestly, you never
still be
know.
Mike
But
Tyson in the ring. So but so you're
yeah,
saying as it stands, Jake Paul.
yeah, as it stands, Jake Paul for the moment.
Yeah.
See,
That's
I'm so I can't literally. Yeah, afterwards I could have just said Jake Paul there, but I went for the moment Jake Paul. I literally, it's hard to say because it's like it's just the narrative. You want to see KSI win. You want to see him do what he did to Logan and all of his opponents. But yeah, just like in being non bias, I do think Jake Paul.
yeah. And again, sad to say it, but
Yeah.
I agree. But I guess the main thing is let's see how he handles himself with temper. Let's see who he chooses to fight next, and then let's have this conversation again and see how we feel in a few weeks, in a few months' time. It
100%.
could be a whole different story in a few weeks. But
Definitely.
I appreciate you coming on. I
Of
think
course.
you've been a fantastic, first guest, and I hope you're willing to do another one in the future. But
100%. It's been a very good chat. I've enjoyed it very much.
before we go, where can everyone find you? You have a YouTube, you have a Twitter. Where can they find you?
Yeah, so Leo Ains on YouTube, Leo Ains on Instagram, Leoains. Twitter 18 Leo Ainsworth. That's it really.
Okay. Well, thanks for coming on, and thanks everyone for watching, listening, and yeah, I can't wait to see what happens next. Thank you very much.
In a bit.